Hello, and welcome to my talk, We Can't All Be Shaq. Today, we'll dive into why incident heroes need to pass the ball. My name is Malcolm Preston. I've been in the technology world for most of my life since my father bought a Xerox personal computer when I was a child. I've held many different titles over the years, but all heading generally towards the same outcome. My passion is to make complex systems work. Currently, I work at Fire Hydrant, where we envision a world where all software is reliable. Fire Hydrant operates in the incident management space, and reliable software lines up perfectly with my other passion for getting a good night's sleep. This talk will not focus on some specific technical product we use or how we scale to accommodate a huge increase in customer traffic. Instead, this talk will focus on basketball. Now bear with me. I know this isn't the topic of most tech talks, but my hope is within a few minutes, it'll become clear how incident response and basketball go together like copy and paste. I enjoy watching sports. Not so much to root for a particular team, but I enjoy watching how teams adapt and work together, especially when they're facing adversity. I've often been intrigued over the years why certain companies seem better than others in various aspects of their operations, similar to sports teams. At a going away party for a job I was leaving a few years back, the VP of engineering told a story I didn't even remember, but that I know subconsciously shaped how I viewed my role in the team. While sitting at a new hire orientation session toward the end of my very first day at the company, an issue arose with some internal system. With zero context, I pulled out my laptop, figured out what was going on, and helped fix the issue. After that, every time there was an incident, the VP said as soon as he saw my name in the Slack chat, he felt a sense of relief and knew we'd be okay. My story isn't unique. In fact, most organizations I talk to have a handful of people or teams who swoop in and save the day when a technical crisis arises. When the 2 a.m. outage page goes out, they're the first ones to respond. These nebulous heroes find the problem, determine the affected areas, fix the issue, or know who to call to fix the issue, wake up the VP, draft messages to send to customers and other stakeholders, then create tickets to address why things went bad. The next day at 9 a.m., they go back to the job they were hired to do. Their backs are padded, and life goes on back to normal until the next 2 a.m. page. I like to equate these people to Shaq. Shaquille O'Neal is 7 feet 1 inch tall and weighs well over 300 pounds. Any team he played for knew if they desperately needed 2 points, they could pass the ball to Shaq, and a thunderous dunk was likely to follow. I'd wager most of you either know someone who was a Shaq or you played that role yourself. These incident response heroes aren't usually 7 feet tall, but when a moment arises when the team needs a quick victory, these people always seem to come through in the clutch. If you've been this person at your company, you know how good that can feel. You also know how exhausting it can be. Why is this a problem? As individuals, we bring our talents every day with a goal of some kind of personal satisfaction. That satisfaction could be monetary compensation, pride in doing good work, helping the team, changing the world, or any other personal motivation. A team brings these groups of individuals together under some guidance with the goal of winning games while they're together. In sports, it could be a year or a season. In your company, that time frame could revolve around quarterly goals or maybe longer term projects. An organization continually sponsors teams with the goal of repeating success on a long-term basis year over year. It's true, when you have individuals operating like Shaq, games are getting won, incidents are getting resolved, but are you truly setting your organization up for longer term success by just doing it for them every time? The problem for a lot of organizations is Shaq makes dunking look easy. Incidents are being remediated and nobody else is really feeling the pain. So much so that your company might not think there's a problem. And without the tools or headcount to make a sweeping change, it turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy. There's no great system in place, but you know what to do, so you just end up continuing to do it. This negates the need for a system and puts the onus back on you. Even as an individual contributor, there needs to be an understanding of what is best for the organization long term. While it may feel good to be the center of attention and a key contributor to success, establishing long-term sustainable processes will help the organization in the future. I'd like to share another personal anecdote about the time I got a new observability tool adopted at a previous employer. As a company, we became heavily invested in self-hosting a NoSQL database. I had used that product in the past and became one of the de facto resources when anything bad or puzzling happened that might be related to that database platform. At some point, I realized I had become a bottleneck in terms of support, and to be honest, I felt a little uncomfortable with the amount of stress that brought, knowing I'd be integral in just about any issue involving these database deployments, which had proliferated to just about every microservice we created. I researched and advocated for a database monitoring analysis tool that could help the rest of our team self-service and bring more reliability to the systems that they were responsible for. When I was met with skepticism around why we even needed a product like this, I realized no one else thought there was a problem to solve because every time there was an incident, Shaq. In a pre-COVID world, I often gleaned a lot of peripheral information around what other teams were doing by happenstance. Someone might want to introduce a new infrastructure component they weren't familiar with, and they might ask for advice, or I might hear about some upcoming change or challenge just from casual conversation. I'd say the vast majority of the service dependency matrix in my head at past companies originated from water cooler talk. In a past era, it might have been through smoke break conversations. Unfortunately, in a post-COVID world, most of us are working under further siloed environments just because we rarely see our coworkers face to face, and in some cases, there's less communication outside of immediate work-related conversations. This facilitates the need to codify what incident responders do and who should be involved in various scenarios. One hero, knowing where all the bodies are buried, swooping in and saving the day is becoming less of a reality. Times change, technology changes, and platforms are becoming more and more complex. What worked in the past doesn't always work in the present or in the future. Sometimes Shaq gets tired. Sometimes Shaq gets hurt. Burnout is a real thing. And let's be honest, sometimes Shaq isn't the easiest team member to get along with. Kobe. So where do we go from here? It's time to pass the ball. To get out of this cycle of heroism, you as an individual have to commit to changing reliability culture at your organization. I always recommend people start with a few small steps and then grow from there. First, if the contents of your company's service catalog, dependencies documentation, and incident management communication workflow are all in your head, you're in trouble. What happens when you're not around? Take the first step toward formalizing an incident management runbook. This doesn't have to look like setting aside a full day to write a step-by-step process. Instead, take the start small approach of talking to yourself during an incident. The next time you respond, start a thread in the incident channel where you literally just think out loud. Be over-communicative and don't assume your teammates understand why you're taking the actions you are. Think in terms of, I just got paged. What's the first thing I do? Where are the places I look to check on the statuses of our services? How do I know who to call when I discover what service is down? How do I know how to revert the last deploy for that service? What impact does this incident have on customers and internal teams? What are my thoughts on how to fix this issue going forward? These are all questions you're answering in your head in an organic way because you're the one who knows how to do this. By documenting your process, you're taking the first steps to getting that info out of your head and eventually into an incident management tool or company wiki, breaking that silo. Step 2. You know who looks up to Shaq? Everyone. And the same is probably true of you. Become an incident commander and give the other members of your team the opportunity to learn, to expand their own skills, and to bask in that hero's glow. A team benefits from players who have differing specific roles and specialties, all working together under sound coaching and organizational direction. The best responders facilitate communication and collaboration. So the next time an incident arises, instead of taking on the Shaq role, be a point guard or a coach. Simply hang back, provide assists and guidance. Give people the info they need, or better yet, help them figure out where to find it. And lend a hand when you're asked. Once you've done this a couple of times, maybe miss a game or two. See if not being on call is an option for the sake of your own health, but also to help others step up. Instead, work on a special project, like taking the initial efforts towards formalizing the documentation you started from the first step. There's no better way to flag a weakness up the chain of command than by demonstrating what happens when you're not there to fix things. And that's a surefire way to direct some resources toward incident management. Step 3, question the status quo. Let's talk about the big O's, on-call and observability. What does on-call look like at your company? Are you alerting on every down instance or only the ones that impact your customers? Related, are you using service level objectives? If not, what's standing in the way of adopting them? Depending on how noisy your alerting systems are, being on call for even a week might be a totally unreasonable amount of time. What observability tools are you using? Can other teammates easily find the relevant data they need to triage an incident? Lastly, what tools are you using to manage your incidents? How are incidents declared and under what circumstances? Are you conducting retrospectives? If so, how do they influence product roadmaps? Why were any of these tools chosen? When and by whom? And do these tools fit the way your team works? We have to improve the on-call and incident response experience for our engineers in order to reduce burnout and retain our colleagues. We also want to be able to assemble a winning team even when the 7-foot 1-inch star is unavailable. This will allow us to thrill our customers with the projects that directly impact revenue-producing products and features. Direct your hero energy to making the entire process better, not just remediating ad hoc incidents. These first steps are all moving toward a common goal, and that's to move away from the whack-a-mole style incident response to a more strategic and holistic incident management. If you're playing the hero role at your organization, you might be unintentionally masking the need for better incident management practices. This isn't your fault though, and you're not alone. By helping our companies shift toward a better incident management posture, we can improve things for our customers, for our teammates, and for ourselves. Thank you for joining.